Bună seara tuturor și bine ați venit la primii pași pentru regăsirea sinelui, o întâlnire în care voi avea un invitat pe care eu îl respect foarte tare și despre care am auzit în urmă cu câteva luni. Am ascultat-o într-un podcast și mi-a plăcut extraordinar de tare și mi-am dorit foarte tare să o cunosc. Și cumva existența a făcut posibil acest lucru. Și înainte să începem, aș vrea să mă asigur că ne auzim foarte bine, că ne vedem și că e tot în regulă, în așa fel încât să puteți să vedeți și să auziți absolut totul în cel mai bun mod posibil. Aș vrea să știm dacă lucrul acesta se întâmplă și până când avem răspunsurile, aș vrea să vă spun că invitata mea de astăzi este Dr. Shefali, care este doctor în psihologie în clinica la Universitatea Columbia din New York și specialist în dinamica relațiilor de familie și a scris multe cărți în această zonă și una dintre cărțile care pe mine m-a inspirat foarte tare și prima dată am citit-o în limba engleză și am fost foarte bucuroasă să aflu că editura Bookzone a tradus-o imediat, nici măcar nu s-a răcit și imediat au tradus-o. Așa că mă bucur foarte tare să o am alături de mine astăzi invitată pe Dr. Shefali.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And first of all, I want to congratulate you on the book. This is a book in Romanian. I don't know if you really saw the book. It's already a bestseller and it's amazing. I mean, I really want to congratulate you, and I want to congratulate you from so many people that have read the book and they were so excited about it.
Wonderful.
Actually, first time I heard about, I heard you for the first time in a podcast in School of Greatness, and I was so excited and so fascinated. And when I heard about the book, I was so happy that we have it in Romanian so fast.
Wonderful. I'm so excited too. Yes.
Yeah, it's a book that can change a lot of lives. And even if you are awakened, it still can be a very important tool in your life. So thank you so much for writing this book. And it really has a very powerful name, Awakening. And I want to talk about this concept of awakening. What does it really mean?
I think it at a very basic level, it means to wake up to the awareness, to the realization that we are co-creating our lives, that we are not just helpless victims of other people and of life itself, that we have a role. And if we can understand that role, then we can take the effort to disrupt the negative patterns and live a life of greater power, freedom, and joy.
You bring a lot of your personal experiences, which is amazing because people resonate with that. And I can totally relate because I also do the same work as you do. And I gather a big community of people who resonate with those messages. And I'm so happy that they're with us here. And I want to ask you, how was the awakening for you? And why did you decide to share it with other people?
Well, this book is mainly for women because we women forget ourselves because of all our roles of being the partner, being the mother, being the caretaker. We give so much of ourselves to others that for us, more than men, we lose ourselves. So when I saw myself losing myself, I realized that I am not alone. Many women go through the same experience. So I wanted to share that, look, see, I have lost myself, even though I'm an author and a psychologist, it doesn't matter. We're all the same. And this is what I did to find myself. So I wanted to help other women to realize that they also can find themselves again.
It's incredible because you're a therapist and you've been working with so many women and you saw their problems, their patterns. And even though you had a long period until you became awakened. And how does it happen for a woman who's not a therapist and who's not so much into this work? How can she awaken herself?
Yeah, it takes a long time and there are many awakenings you go through. So I went through many along the way. And then, each time you shed your skin. So it's a never-ending process. But yes, if one is not aware at all, then it's going to be hard. But the beautiful thing about life is that it'll keep showing up with more and more difficulties. And at some point, you're going to take yourself to a therapist. And some point, you're going to say, oh my goodness, my kids are driving me crazy, or I lost my job, or I need to lose weight. Something will take you to get help. And when you get there to get help, then you begin the process of awakening. Life is so painful that sooner or later it's going to break you down. So you can either do it willingly, voluntarily, or involuntarily. But everyone will get to a point in life where they break down.
But how do you know when is the moment? Because I can share my experience saying that I was a person trained to be able to do anything, never stop. I can do everything and nothing can stop me. I will be able to do. And this is like a sword with two parts, because you can go all the way, but then you're going to break. So how do you know when it's the moment?
Yeah, it's different for every person depending on their level of internal awareness. If they are very much playing the role of the perfect person, the competent person, the superachiever, then it's going to take more to get them down. But it's okay. Eventually, everybody gets to their point. You know, there is no perfect point. There's no perfect destination. There's no perfect process. Each person needs to evolve to the best of their own ability.
I would like to talk about your awakening, because it happened in a very strong moment. Something happened to you.
Yeah, it was, I was so exhausted being a mother and a wife and a clinical psychologist. I was going for my PhD, that one day I just drove off the road. I was so tired. And that moment just woke me up to realize I can kill myself. And what am I doing? I'm running and I'm chasing and I'm fixing and I'm solving every problem, but I'm not taking care of myself. And so that started this whole process. It took 5-6 years for me to realize that I need to change my life, and I need to change the dynamics in my life. And, so I began to change my body. I began to change my mind. Then I began to work on my marriage, worked on my parenting step by step. And, my marriage changed so much that it ended. Sometimes change is so much that the old structure cannot stay the same. And everybody's marriage doesn't need to end, but some do. And that is also very scary, because I had been with the same person for 25 years. So that is so scary, because we're trained to be in a structure. So when the structure can no longer hold the new person, you want to kill the new person. I wanted to not grow anymore because I like the old structure. So then you have to come to a choice point. Do you go toward the new you, or do you stay in the old familiar structure? And that took me 2 years to figure out. It was so painful, because I liked the old structure, but I also liked the new me. But the old structure couldn't take the new me. So it was a big dilemma and a conflict, especially if you're a mother. So I tell people in the book how to go through this conflict. It takes time. And I give you a step-by-step process of how to keep, unfolding and unpeeling the layers. And then you come to a choice, and then you make that choice, and then you get to the other side. And it's not easy. Nothing is easy, but it's real, it's human, it's powerful, and it's necessary.
I would like to take it step by step. So first you have this awakening moment, right? And then what do you do? Because you don't know. I mean, you hear about things, but you don't know exactly which way to go. What do you do in that moment when you realize that I need to change something in my life?
Yeah, so that moment is so painful, because till that moment you were just like coasting, you were fine, you were asleep. Then you hit the rock bottom, the pain, and then you wake up and you go, oh my goodness, something needs to change. But then you look at your own life and you're like, how to change this life? It's so many years. And you're terrified. And at that point, when you hit the wall or the rock bottom moment, you have to make a choice. Either you go back to sleep or you say, I'm going to go get help. And you kind of have to go get help. It's like you're overweight and you got diabetes and you're going to get, cancer. You have to go get help. So you have to go to a trained person to get help. You go to a coach or a therapist or a counselor and you get that help. And then you have to decide if you want to go backwards or you want to go over the wall. Now, going over the wall takes a few years.
Years,
and
exactly.
You have to climb up. And to climb up means you have to get out of the old pattern. It's so difficult. So in my book, the first part is called Asleep in the Matrix, which talks about how we are all asleep. Then you hit the rock bottom. Then part 2 is called Confronting the Shadow, which means you confront the patterns. So I show women all the patterns that they have. And then part 3 is going deeper into who we are in terms of our sexuality. Part 4 is breaking down all the belief systems, what we believe about love, about marriage, about divorce, about beauty, about being nice. All those patterns have to be deconstructed and broken because that's what kept us in the matrix. And then part 5 is how do you liberate yourself? So every journey goes through these predictable steps. And when people come to me for therapy, they're like, I want to change, I want to change, I want to change. But they haven't hit the rock bottom yet, they're not going to change. So I always tell people, come back to me in a few years. The pain is not painful yet. It's only when the pain of being who you were is so painful that you'll do anything to get out of it. But if the pain is not painful enough, then you are just complaining, and I don't like to encourage my clients to complain. So I'll tell them, oh, you don't want to change, you just want to complain. There's a big difference between complaining and wanting to change. Complaining is just blaming everybody else. To change means you have to die, and no one wants to die, right? You only want to die when the pain is too much, right? Even when your loved one dies, you're like, okay, at least he's not in pain, right? So the only way we will be willing to die is if the pain is too much. So till that rock bottom, I know after working with hundreds of people, no one changes.
I know from my own experience, until it was really, really bad, nothing made me move on. And it's like, I have nothing to lose, so now I can try anything in order to just find out what can I do with my life. And I heard you saying something in a podcast that I really remember, and I really liked it. It's like, if you're in this worm zone, it's not good, but it's not bad. So that's the most difficult, dangerous situation, because when you're there, you don't want to change. You don't have any reason to change.
And because we're so conditioned to compromise anyway, we don't even know what bliss is or ecstasy or joy or liberation, because we grew up with parents who were like also just 50-50. We're like, okay, it's 50-50. 50-50 is the worst thing. It's 75-25, also not good. It's only when we get to 90-10, 90 bad, 10 good, then maybe we start changing.
You can't breathe anymore.
Yeah, but you see, actually 50-50 is also bad, bad. But we're so used to being okay with 50-50. We're like, it's okay. Who needs a better life? But we all deserve a 90-10 life. And the other way, 90 good, 10 bad. We deserve it. But we're so scared of that level of happiness. We're scared to be that joyful because we've seen people around us, everybody is like 50-50, But we deserve a life that is 90% joyful, but we feel too scared to go after it.
And there are some things when you change. And I know from my experience, it's like when you change, first of all, you're afraid of the new you because you don't know you. I mean, for me, it was like, I didn't know who is this person. I've never done that. I discovered my shadows, which I hated, and I wanted to just hide them. And then you lose some of your friends who don't accept you the way you are.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you don't know how to talk with your partner. So I would like to talk more about those things, because one of the biggest fear of the women who are changing is that, and as I said, I experienced it, your friends don't recognize you and they're always telling you, my God, what you're doing, are you on drugs? What happened to you? Why are you acting like this? You're selfish. You were not doing like this before. So how do you deal with those people? Because you're like, you want to change, but you're afraid that you're going to lose your friends and then you're going to be left alone.
You are going to lose your friends and you are going to be left alone a lot. But the good friends, the true friends, will stay. But you're going to lose many people because everyone knew you as the old you. So you have to have compassion for them, understand that you've made them scared, and you have to release them. So this is what needs to happen in order for you to make changes, is you have to release the old people from your life. Otherwise, it will not work.
Yeah, it's true. One of the biggest fear that I think everybody, but I'm only talking about the Romanian women, is the divorce. Is like, if I'm going to divorce, what's going to happen? Because we still live in a traditional society where people are looking at you like, oh, I mean, like, he didn't hurt you, he didn't beat you, he didn't. But there are other kinds of abuses, forms of abuses, which are not like legal or something that they can be punished. But still, it's like emotional abuse. There are so many things that you can't live your life with them. And women are staying in those marriages just because the society looks at you like, oh, you're divorced. I mean, like, nobody's going to take you. What are you going to do with your kids? So what would you say to those women who are so afraid of this?
Well, many things. First, I want to speak to the women before they get married, right? Because we need to help those women understand that marriage is not the end of the road, and that they should think very carefully before getting married. That's what people need to realize, is that marriage is an institution that locks you. That's why it's called wedlock. You're locked up, and you put a ring, which looks so pretty, but it's like ownership, and we have to realize that. But because the Hollywood and Disney has made marriage seem like so amazing, we all want to get married, but we don't realize we are literally locking ourselves with another human being for the rest of our lives, which is beautiful, can be beautiful, but it also is an illusion in many ways, because how can you predict who you're going to be in 20 years, right? How can you predict how you're going to feel in 20 years? But you're locking yourself to this person legally and religiously. And religion tells you you're a bad person if you leave the marriage. So now you're really messed up. But in 20 years, you could change. We don't even live with our parents, and we are supposed to live with this person. So the institution of marriage needs to change. We should have a 7-year renewal ceremony. We should have the choice. So we've taken out the choice out of marriage. We've made it immoral. We've made it unethical. We've made it illegal. Of course, the woman is terrified to leave. I was terrified to leave also for those reasons. What will people say? They'll look at me with pity. But when you do enough work on yourself and you begin to connect to yourself and you begin to ask yourself, what matters to me? Does it matter to me what people say, or what does it matter to me what I think? And who is more important, me or them? You have to do a lot of work to get to this place where you realize that you are more important for you. And you have to literally say F off to everybody else. But to get to that place takes a lot of inner confidence work, because culture is so mean, culture is so judgmental. And I felt it too. But by then I didn't care, because I had done so much work on myself that I knew my truth so much that I backed myself up. But then that's what this book teaches women to do, is to back yourself up. But otherwise, culture is going to tear you down. And this book teaches you to fight back culture,
It's true. But there are cases where people don't really have to get to the divorce. Until they get to the divorce, I mean, this period of time where you can talk with your partner about how you feel about the changes. How do you do that? Because probably there are marriages that can be saved, having the right communication, being open and vulnerable about what's going on with you.
Yes. So divorce is just the final. The real thing, what you are divorcing, is your own lies, your own inauthentic self. So when you realize that, then you begin to change the patterns in your dynamic through communication, therapy, talking about things. And there's so much room for growth and so much possibility. But the first thing you need to decide is that you want to become more authentic. You want to grow.
And how do you deal with your change in your relationship? What do you need to tell to your partner? How do you need to talk? And how do you need to not make him understand, just let him know that you are changed and you would like to be in the same relationship, but coming with a new you?
Yeah, it depends on where your partner is at, because sometimes your partner is also changing. So it's wonderful and you can change together. And you have to renegotiate the rules of your relationship. And it's not easy. Some partners can evolve with you and grow with you. And some say, hey, I can't go anymore on this path. You have to go on your own. So it depends on each dynamic, But yeah, before divorce, there's a long period of talking and crying and trying.
And working a lot on it.
Yes.
You have a chapter in your book, and I want to show it again to the people who maybe didn't see it. There is a chapter about empathy, and I resonated so much with it. And I felt you so much when you were talking about taking care of the old men in your building, that nobody was telling you to do that. And empathy is amazing, and we all learn that from our parents or from our environment, but it reaches a level where it's extreme. And for me, it was very shocking when my therapist told me, no, you're doing this because you want to please people, because you don't have boundaries, because you just want to be loved, you just want to be accepted. And I was like so angry at her when she told me that. I was like, how dare you don't know me. And in my community, I share that with the people that they're watching me. And I would like to know which are the things that show this exaggerated, so those features who are for this exaggerated empathy.
Yes.
So when do you know it's
Yes. So women who are empathic can go to an extreme where they forget who they are for the need to be seen as beautiful person, as a lovely person, as a kind person. So the empath gets tired, they get resentful, they want something back. Then when they don't get the thank you back or the appreciation back, they feel resentful. So that's how you get to know that you are giving too much and it's gone extreme. True empathy is when you are in a give and receive relationship where you feel when you're giving, you're also getting back. And that is a real powerful relationship. You want to keep your beautiful heart, but you cannot destroy yourself in order to have a beautiful heart for other people. And many of us women destroy ourselves in order to be beautiful to other people.
Yeah, that's true. And in our culture, especially in my generation, we were lacking boundaries a lot. I was not raised with boundaries. I didn't even know. I remember I went in India in a workshop and they were talking about boundaries. And I was like, what does it mean, boundaries? I had no idea about that. So first of all, I had no idea about boundaries. And then I didn't know that I'm allowed to set my boundaries. And then I didn't know how to do that. So when do you know somebody is crossing your boundaries?
I know, my daughter used to tell me all the time, Mom, why you don't know how to say no? It's 2 letters, N-O. And I said, when I say no, it gives me anxiety because we've been raised to please everybody, to be lovely, sweet, and we don't want people to be upset with us. So I didn't even know I should say no. If she said, Mom, get me water from Timbuktu, I'd be like, okay. I thought people who ask are thinking, and if they are asking means I should say yes. I didn't realize people who ask are not thinking. They're just demanding. And they don't care about you. I thought they are thinking that, oh, I can't go to Timbuktu because my leg is hurting. Let me ask, X. I didn't realize, oh, they're not going to Timbuktu because they're lazy. It took me years to realize, so it's an awakening And it comes from you checking in with yourself. Okay, why is somebody asking me? Can they do it on their own? What is their true need? And I cannot be just a puppet who just, every time someone says something, I go, okay, okay, okay. I need to stop and realize that people are just asking. It's up to me to understand why they are asking. So I moved out of being a robot to being a wise person and realizing, oh, they're just asking because they're lazy. They're just asking because they're manipulative. They're just asking because they're greedy. And it took me years to understand this. And our mothers, I mean, I don't want to blame our mothers, but our parents didn't teach us this. I tell my mother all the time, why you didn't teach me to use my brain and not just use my heart? And now I've learned to be a little better in using the brain and the heart and ask questions, not just be a puppet.
Yes, but when do you know your boundaries are crossed? When do you know
get
it's
tired,
not?
you get tired, you clench your jaw, you want to kill somebody, you want to hold something. You feel it, but you don't know what it is. You don't understand what it is. You're tired, you're eating too much, you're upset, you're resentful. At one point you will be exhausted because you're doing everything for everyone.
Yes, but
You'll
on the
be
other
angry.
hand, yes, but on the other hand, saying no to people, that's really, it's not that easy, because maybe you don't want to have a confrontation, maybe you don't want to upset someone, maybe you don't want to lose that person, so you're just like holding on everything and just doing everything for everybody.
Yes, and because we've created a dynamic where it will be a conflict. You see, with my daughter, I had to realize it wasn't because she was fighting, it was because I have created a dynamic where she thinks she can fight. You understand? If somebody else who has good boundaries, they say no, she'll just listen. Okay. But if I say no, it becomes a fight. So the fight is created by us because we didn't have good boundaries in the first place, that people think they should protest. My daughter will be like, "Whoa, you're not helping me, even if you have a migraine?" I'm like, "I have a migraine." So we will have a discussion, as opposed to, because I had such bad boundaries, she can't believe I have a headache and I want to rest. She's like, "What? How can that be? Let's have an argument." So
Yeah, because
it's all because the empath has such poor boundaries for years. So we create conflict because of us,
mm-hmm.
not
I was
because
reading
of the other person.
Yeah, I was reading your book, exactly this example with a client of yours called Pam, that she was doing everything for everyone, for her sister, for her daughter, for her mom, for everyone. She gained many kilos, and then she was like so overwhelmed. She was almost divorcing, and you told her that she does this because she wants to. And she was like, no, because when we are doing this, we are not aware. We think that there is no solution. This is what we need to do.
Yes,
It's true.
it's yes, we believe there's no solution because it is like a second nature, right? Second skin. So we're like, "Oh, you think I'm purposely doing it?" But that is what it means to become conscious. To become conscious means to become aware of the things that we do like a puppet, So to go,
Yeah.
oh, like I had a client once who would say sorry every few minutes. "Oh, sorry, sorry." And I was like, "Why are you saying sorry?" She's like, "Oh, because I'm just being nice." And I was, let's examine why you're saying sorry all the time. Or another client, she was going to a birthday party and she said to me, "Oh, I didn't buy enough gifts for the birthday person." And I said, "How many gifts?" And she said, "Oh, at least 2 or 3." So these are things we do without thinking, but that's what awakening means, is to become aware of your co-creation in life, that you are creating the dynamic. You see, when you asked me in the beginning, what is awakening? I said to become aware of your co-creation. Things that we do automatically, we need to bring under the microscope and shine awareness on on things that we do without thinking, right?
Yeah.
So this is a very scary process because all your life you were just doing it. Now your therapist is telling you, let's examine why you're doing it. And you're like, what? It's just who I am. It's just what I do. No, why are you doing it? And that process is like an earthquake because you were not aware of why you were doing anything. And that is the being asleep to becoming awake. And it is so scary because you realize, oh my goodness, I've been an idiot all my life. I've been a fool all my life. I've been, totally taken advantage of all my life. So that is the awakening.
At the beginning, it's very difficult to realize that you are not that nice persona that you fall in love with, because you've been told when you're little, you have to be nice, you have to treat everybody nice, you don't have to disturb anyone, you don't have to get angry. So we become this persona that we fall in love, and it's very difficult to become someone else or to be someone else, or to be ourselves.
Yes, and we have decided that is how we get love. So now
Yes.
you're saying, what, change that? Then who will I be? Who you will be when you change it is somebody who is authentic, who isn't just doing things like a robot, who is now more authentic and more connected. And once you begin to realize the difference between robot and authentic, then you begin to go, wow, I was saying yes to going to Timbuktu, but I didn't want to go to Timbuktu. Now I've become aware, and I'm now becoming more authentic. And that is an amazing transformation.
After my transformation that I had first in India, when I left from there, I made a promise to myself. I promised to myself that I will always look for my truth, and I will live that truth. And what I realized in my existence, that living in a very authentic way is not easy at all. What would you suggest to these people that they want to embrace authenticity, to have this normal relationship with other people? Because it's really difficult, to be very honest, sometimes.
Yes, it's very difficult. But then as you become authentic, you begin to choose people very carefully using your mind and your heart. And you say goodbye to the people who don't like to be authentic. So my whole life relationships changed. I said goodbye to many, and I said hello to many. And the way I looked changed, the way I ate changed, the way I dressed changed. So yes, it is hard, but you begin to pick the people with whom you can be more authentic.
Yeah. So all those patterns, because you talk about we don't live a life, we live a pattern.
Yes.
So all these patterns we got from our childhood, because we wanted to, we gave up on our authenticity in order to get the attachment for our parents, because that was so important for us. So we have the awakening moment, and then we realize what we're doing, and then we have those moments of anger on our parents.
Yes.
How do we deal with that? How do we forgive them? Because I hear so many people, and also I had this experience myself. I was so angry at my parents. So what's the process of forgiving them?
Yes. So the process of forgiving them first takes getting angry. And you're so angry with them because you feel like you've been cheated. Why did you yell at me? Why did you call me stupid? Why did you, stop me? So you're angry with your parents. But then as you begin to heal more, you realize that they also were trapped by their childhood, by their parents. And you begin to understand that trauma goes down the generation and everybody is just repeating a pattern. So you then have to make a choice. Do I stay in anger and blame my parents, or do I start from this moment and make my own life? And I tell all adults, at some point you have to say, I let go. I understand. I have compassion. And from this point on, I parent myself. Every child has crap from their parent. No child was raised by an amazing parent completely. So every single child will be angry with their parent. My child is angry with with me all the time. And I'm like, wow, even you angry with me. So we cannot be perfect. But the point is to understand and to see the generational trauma and be the one who is brave enough to break the generational trauma.
What I see in people is that they're so afraid to be angry with their parents, because it's like, I'm the child, I cannot be angry. So we have this duplicity. It's like, I love my parents, so I can't be angry at him. But on the other side, I'm so angry at him for what he did. So how do you accept this anger, and how do you really integrate it and allow it to be?
Because you begin to realize that your parents are also human. So when you say, I can never get angry at my parents, that is an idea. How can you not get angry at your parents? Of course, you should get angry at your parents. And once you realize that just because you're angry at your parents doesn't mean you don't love them, but you begin to realize that they are human and you have a human dynamic. But also staying angry with your parents forever is stupid too, because they couldn't help it. So too much ideal love is not wise, because that means it's not normal to love someone and not be angry. You have to get angry sometimes. And too much anger is not normal either. So you want to have a healthy mix of, yeah, I love you, but yes, I'm angry with you, combination, so that you can have a healthy grown-up dynamic with these kids, with your parents as a kid.
There is a chapter where you talk about ego, and the way you describe it, it's really nice. And I would like to talk about ego a bit. What is the ego?
The ego is the part of you that is created in childhood to protect you from pain. So if you were told by your parents, don't be stupid, don't be dumb, don't be ugly, then the ego, because you have so much pain and your parents are not understanding you, you create a new persona. And you're like, okay, I'll be the perfect girl, or I'll be the funny one, or I'll be the pleaser. You create a persona so you avoid the shame and the pain of your parents putting you down. You create a new persona, fake persona, to just buy love, you know?
And can you realize that it's a persona? How can you realize it?
You don't realize it when you're young. When you're young, you're just surviving. That's why I teach conscious parenting. My other books are on conscious parenting. Yes. So I can help parents to raise children with less ego, you know, like raise children who are more authentic so that they don't have to spend their whole life becoming authentic, you know. But children won't know that. Children won't know that. But there are signs. They're exhausted. They're upset. They're anxious. That's how, and by teenage years, they break down. So that's how you know that they have not been living authentically, because they're breaking down. You know, they're exhausted.
And some of those children, they grow up and they become victims. They consider themselves victims. And they start blaming their parents, even they're like 30, 40, like, oh, I'm like this because of my father who did that. I'm like that. How do you realize you're a victim? And how do you become aware of this thing?
So I explained that there's a difference between being a victim and living in victim consciousness. Many of us are victims of abuse, domestic abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. And we're ashamed to say, I was a victim. And it's okay to be a victim, but it's not okay to stay stuck in victim consciousness. Victim consciousness is where you keep victimizing yourself because of a painful past experience. So when you are a victim, you know it, you feel the pain, you know, you don't feel good. And it's so hard for us women to say, I'm a victim of emotional abuse, I'm a victim of physical abuse. It's so hard for us to say, because we want to show the world that we are so strong and brave and smart women cannot be victims, right? And we need to break that mythology.
Yeah, it's true. It's very difficult to get out of that position, because also that position, in some cases, it brings you attention and it puts you on the spotlight.
Yes, sometimes. Yes. And judgment. People go, oh, how could you be so stupid? Or why didn't you leave earlier? Right? Women judge other women. It's so sad, you know.
We as women, we learn to silence our needs and what we want in life, and this is it's starting from our childhood, as we were talking before. And how do we overcome those
patterns from childhood?
Yes, those patterns were not letting us acknowledge our needs, because sometimes we're not in contact with our needs. We're not in contact with who we are. So we live a life in the fog, as you were saying in the book. It's like, you don't know, you're just going somewhere, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want to have in your life.
I know. So the only way to wake up again is when you crash,
Crash.
and you don't pay attention, you don't pay attention, you don't pay attention, and suddenly everything explodes, and you're like, oh my God. Then you realize that you were asleep all this time.
And because we're talking about awakening, I would like you to describe us, what is a woman who's awakened? How does she act? How does she look? How is she? How do I recognize a woman who is awakened?
I think you can recognize a woman who's awakened because she speaks her truth. She doesn't try to be somebody she's not. She doesn't mind saying she has flaws and she's imperfect. She's confident. She's happy with her body and her face and her beauty and her looks and her age. She's reached a sense of peace, and she's not trying to apologize for herself anymore. She's not afraid to be her big self, or her small self. So a woman who's just easy to be around, you can tell she's not going to judge you. And you can feel it when you're with a woman who's just relaxed about herself.
Do you think a woman knows exactly when she's awakened?
I think it's not a point. I think it's layers, and she begins to feel freer and goes, oh my goodness, I haven't cried for 10 days, or oh my goodness, I haven't had to pretend for 10 days. And she feels so relaxed about her new way of being, and she feels lighter and happier and better.
And I really liked what you said at the beginning, that it's a constant process. It's not like you are awakened and then it stops. Because I remember when I started this process and I was still going to courses and I was still doing therapy, my friends were like, come on, I mean, you did that and it's done. I mean, no, those guys are asking you for money because they know that you have money, and it's like they're telling you stupid things to tell you that you're not okay. And so what I would like to say is, like, we have the process and it's ending, or it's continuing all our lives?
All our lives. There is no end. I mean, you can do a big awakening, but then there's every day. You have to be aware every day, and it becomes easier. But it's definitely an everyday process, because you want to keep growing. You don't want to stay there. You want to become better and better. So you don't want to stop the process at all.
And how do you do that?
Through meditation, through weekly coaching, taking courses, reading books. You don't stop this process at all. You if you have the money, you keep trying to do it. If you don't have the money, you do free things. There's lots of free things on YouTube, but it's like exercise. Do we ever stop exercising, right? Every day you have to do it, and you stop doing it and you go backwards.
And being awakened doesn't mean you're not going to have moments of collapse or moments when you feel like it's really.
Yes, you're going to
you still have those moments, right?
You still have the moments, but you don't go down so much. You don't crash and burn. You just go, and you don't stay long. You come back up, but you still go down for sure. You're still a human. You still get angry. You still eat too much. You still drink too much. But you recover faster, I think.
Yeah, and can you tell us about some tools that people can use when they have those collapse or those moments of collapse?
Well, I think
what's helping you when you have those moments? Because I'm sure you have those moments.
Yes.
I think we all have them. Definitely, they're not so big as before, and we can become observers and see that there is always a good part, or it happened because of something. So, which are your tools that you're using when you have those moments?
Well, I think awareness, coming to my breath, breathing, and going, I am not my feelings. I am not my thoughts. I'm just in a pattern. What is going on? And try to, go above and to see it from above. It's training your mind. By now I've trained my mind a lot. So I know when I get caught up, it's because I've been attached to something. And I ask myself, what am I believing now that is not true? I'm believing something that is making me messed up. And I just try to breathe and realize that I am not that feeling. I am something more than that feeling. That feeling is temporary. It's going to come and go. And I've just learned to breathe through it more so I don't get so destroyed.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We have a lot of messages from the people who are watching us, congratulating you and saying a lot of thanks for everything that you do and for the thing that you're inspiring. And then we have a message, Dr. Shefali, you are one of my favorite teachers. You helped me, you helped so many people during the pandemic with your weekly viral wisdom, and also navigating through your last book. Your story can relate so much to so many of us. Thank you for this. Sending all my love.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yes, there are so many. To be very honest, I'm running, and in the park I was listening to your books and listening to podcasts where you were invited, and it really also helped me so much. So this is why I'm so happy to finally meet you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
And I want to have a last question because I know you have to go, you have to run. And if a woman that finished your book meets you, and she's awakened, she's aware, she read your book, she went to courses, she's asking you, like, if I lose everything, what do I win?
I think she wins herself. She wins her own amazing self-connection, self-worth, self-love. And that relationship with ourselves is so important, but we're not taught that. We should be taught, first get married to yourself. First find yourself, then marry yourself, then we look for somebody else. And we should not ask, are you married? To who you married to? We should ask, did you marry yourself? First, that should be the ceremony that we go for. That should be the wedding party we go for. That relationship with the self is so beautiful and important, and we're missing it,
Yeah, because we're always thinking, like, if I'm going to get married, I'm going to be happy. When I'm going to have a baby, I'm going to be happy. When I'm going to have that car, I'm going to be happy. When I'm going to have all those things, I'm going to be happy. And you have those things, but in the end, you're not happy because happiness is never outside.
Yes, exactly. Beautifully said. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you very much.